Rebecca asks, what does it take to be successful? Of all the people you know with solid businesses, what do they have in common? I want to follow the example of people who have made it. Well, Rebecca, that is a great question. And a lot more people need to be asking that because it makes a big difference. And when we are following after the examples of people who have not made it, even if they claim they have, but they've really not done what we want to do, well, it makes a huge difference. And if we follow those who have made it, obviously it is an enormous shortcut. One of the first things that I see in people who have made it is that they accept personal responsibility. They know that their success is really dependent on them. It's not dependent on someone else to provide the perfect solution for them. It is not for someone else to take on their personal work or responsibility, but instead they know it's about their effort. I remember years ago when I was getting started with online business, and a friend of mine was talking about when he bought a product and he would try it out. If it didn't work the first time, he didn't go, oh, great, I've been scammed, this doesn't work at all. Instead, he thought, well, I've done something wrong. I need to go back in and tweak this until I can figure it out. You see, that's personal responsibility, because the truth is almost every system out there really works. It's usually the people who don't work. So personal responsibility is a huge facet. Secondly, being a servant, having the attitude and the spirit to serve people, looking out for the betterment of other people first. Now, in a minute, we'll talk about profit. But for the person who's highly successful, it's not all about the money, but they realize that the money is going to come when they serve their market as effectively as possible. Now, here's what we often see is people who are out there trying to cut a corner, put something up and out there for sale without it being of very high quality, without putting a lot of effort into it, and just trying to get something out there so they can make a buck. Third, perseverance. Not just starting, but actually finishing. Making it all the way to the finish line, doing all of the work that is necessary, working more hours than other people, studying harder than other people, putting more facets in play than other people. For example, let's say that we're trying to get some website traffic and we decide that one of our components is going to be article marketing. Well, if we put out one article, we're not going to get much traffic, if any. But the person who perseveres doesn't simply think in terms of the minimum. They think in terms of the maximum. And instead of saying, I'm going to put out an article, or even 10 articles, or even 100 articles, they're thinking, what if I put out 1,000 articles? So their mind functions totally different. Not on the minimum, which is often taught with online business, but instead the maximum. Learning and doing. The people that I've noticed are the most successful continue to learn. So when they buy a product, they're not trying to buy an answer or a complete solution. They're buying a component. They're buying a piece of their educational process so that when a new product comes out on list building, I might buy that. Not because I'm not already building a list or don't already have a huge list, but instead I want to continue learning and continue applying. But here's what the most successful don't do. They don't buy something thinking it is the only answer. You don't go to the library and buy one book and think you've learned it all. And you don't go to college and take one class and think you've learned it all. Next, they have successful mentors. Here I am with Zig Ziglar. And he has been one of my mentors since I was a teenager. And following someone that's successful makes a huge difference. This is one of the reasons I'm not a big fan of asking questions about business or about anything in general in forums. I think forums are great for marketing, but when you've got a lot of people in there who basically have not experienced very much, have not been successful, and they're all spouting off like experts, well, quite honestly, it's dangerous. So instead, you need to focus on people who have been successful and follow them. And then, of course, people who are successful are profit focused. Is this going to make money? How is it going to make money? It doesn't mean that money's right out of the gate, but it does mean that that is a driving force for them. So the people that I've seen be most successful, Rebecca, are those who take personal responsibility, who are servants, who persevere, who learn and do. They don't simply learn, but they do. They have successful mentors, and they are profit focused. Thank you so much for this question. And guys, continue to ask your questions at asktheonlinebusinesscoach.com. Saving the world from internet business tragedy, one answer at a time.